everyone, welcome to Femme Fables. Megan here, and Rocky is back with me. If you haven't caught our last episode, Battle of the Sexes, go check it out. It was a fun time, lots of laughs, different perspective, male versus female, on dating topics. And when I ended that episode, I had indicated Rocky's going to come back and tell us a little story.
Yep, here's a little story I got to tell about crazy ass bitches I know so well. You know?
So I talked about, manipulative people, toxic exes, things that were red flags to me looking back in relationships. And so it's all from the female perspective. So I thought it'd be good to have Rocky on to tell his story from a male perspective of kind of, here was this relationship that I had, and looking back, the red flags, the things I probably should have walked away at certain times, and we all kind of stay and try to work it out, for good decent people. We want to, try to make it work. So
try, the keyword try. If you got to try, my sister-in-law told me this last night, if you got to try, she said, she used some kind of reference, but she was like, you got to do it. You know what I'm saying? We may need to take that into play,
Yeah. But I do think a lot of people stay because of the comfort of the relationship, because they've been in a while.
Comfort. Yeah. As men, I could just get it out there real quick. The biggest thing I feel like with men that they don't want to admit, in my crew, we call it, you don't want to give her back to the hood. That's just the terminology, meaning...
Still your property?
So, meaning you've been with this chick on and off, whether you've done something wrong, whatever, you still don't want anyone else to have that, or you can't picture her with another man, regardless. Even if that shit's toxic. So a lot of men, I think we fail to mention it. And my buddies have told me that. I got buddies who are and I'm the same way. Let me not say just buddies, but I got buddies who will tell you, my ex-wife, I divorced 10 years ago is off, that's off limits for anyone that we know, even if it's a friend or acquaintance.
Right, so, I could see that.
End of the day, we a lot of times stay, I think men and women, because women may not want to see us, go back to the hood, and we don't want to give our women back to the hood.
Yeah, I think there, some territorial aspect of it as well. So where do you want, let's begin. I think, did you meet on Match.com?
Yeah.
This person? Okay.
Yeah, so I went on Match thinking, okay, it's not plenty of fish, or I think Tinder was out back then. I'm thinking, hey, I'm paying, so this is gonna guarantee me the upper echelon, right?
Yeah.
So I go on there, and it's just a disaster. For all intents and purposes, I'm just sorry, whoever
I've had successful relationships from Match, but recently when I've gone on, it's
successful. Did you
I was with the guy for but I was with a guy for 4 years.
See, I was with this chick for about 4 years.
Okay. 2 other guys for 2 years. But no, at the end of the day, no. But
she kind of sounded like this chick who's a serious dater, y'all. Y'all better watch out for the redhead. She's on fire. But
all right, Match.com.
So I'm paying. I'm like, this is coming out of my business account. It's part of my expenses. I'm like,
it's a tax write-off.
I'm doing the damn thing. I'm gonna write this off, right? So I've been on there for probably a month or two, and I go out with this chick, and she was smoking cigarettes.
Nope, red flag done.
At the table, right? So I was like,
at the table?
Yes.
Inside? How long ago
outside.
Was this? Oh, okay. I was like,
where
was this?
Outside, right?
Oh no! Did she have that she was a smoker? Would you?
Listen. It gets worse.
Oh,
so after that, I'm like, okay. She's like, hey, you want to come back by my house? I'm I'm like Snoop and Cheech and Chong. I like the reefer, right?
Yeah.
So I go back. I'm like, okay, let's smoke some reefer.
Hold on, I have a question. How long did you talk before you went on your date?
See, this was when I first was a Match rookie. I was just fresh on there, so I took the
Match.
first.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was quick, right?
Okay, that's what I was just curious.
So which made it even easier to eliminate her, right? So I go back to her house. You walk in, and it immediately smells like cigarettes. I'm like,
she smokes inside.
Yeah, she smoked inside. So we did smoke a blunt, and then she just smoked the cigarette upstairs in her loft the whole time while we were smoking the blunt. So then I excused myself. So I go back out there. Then I think maybe a hurricane or one of those little silly things we get. We don't really
Yeah.
They say it's coming, it's going to knock out Tampa,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it never does. So I have been kind of talking to, like, girls seem to be thirsty during that point. They were like, when we get off this lockdown, boy, I'm going to jump your black bones. I'm like, okay, all right, girl, calm down. So then I end up reaching, in October, I end up reaching out to this chick, right around Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't believe in the copy paste method because you just get caught up in that. I learned that from Plenty of Fish when I was a fuck boy. I used to copy and paste the shit, right? You know, back in the computer days, you sitting there typing on, you know. So I learned that that's not the way to do. Like, plus if I'm gonna try to date this person, right? Again, I'm gonna match. I'm doing the damn thing because I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
Nah. So I end up messaging my now ex, and we had some things in common. Like, at that time, I had lost probably about 150 pounds, right? And she had lost probably like 60 pounds. She had kind of been working out with a trainer, wasn't anymore. So we kind of matched also, because Match has a feature, or had, I don't know if they still do, but if your location is on your whatever, Android, Apple, and you cross paths with the person.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
I think they still have that. Yeah, it'll show you like this person was near you or whatever, nearby. Yeah.
So we were near each other, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, this chick says she lives in Riverview, right? Well, it says that she lives in Riverview on her profile. Well, turns out she used to go to like a gym in South Tampa. So anyways, we end up matching, conversing back and forth a little bit. Kind of had a lot in common. Like, we're both, like, I obviously do the real estate thing for a living. She doesn't, but we kind of had that in common. Like, just,
okay, so similar.
I can't give you like a huge list or none because there isn't.
But like similar.
Similar taste, right?
Yeah.
You
Enough
know.
similarities for you to be like, okay, this is cool.
Try.
Yeah.
So we end up going out on our first date, and then we met up with some of my friends at a bar we go to a lot, right? So my buddy kind of told me that night, like, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence with her because he's like, she seemed a little timid. He's like, and you're kind of, you know,
not timid,
right? So that's definitely a huge. So as she drove, she didn't want me to like pick her up, or she didn't want to meet.
Yeah, I understand.
She wanted to pick me up, right?
Oh, she wanted to pick you up?
Yeah.
Oh no, I want to meet there.
No, she picked me up on the first date, like.
Oh, how manly of her!
Like, rain, yeah. That was a red flag though. The bitch is, she's a alpha she-male type of, like, she wanted to be
alpha she-male.
Like, she wanted to be the alpha the whole time, and she's not even. I mean, you've seen the videos from Saturday,
I have
right?
not thought.
So,
I wonder if that's a controlling technique.
Thank you. That's what we'll get more into.
I'm in control.
Thank you. She thinks that is in control, but if I'm crazy and I got a knife, like,
hell no, I ain't picking your ass up.
First night picks me up for the date.
Then I'm stuck with your ass.
We come out of the restaurant. Hey, you want to drive my Range Rover? I'm like,
what's your Range Rover?
Yeah, she's not. I mean, she's no slack when it comes to work and all that. She's one of you, but she's cool. Okay.
A little crazier than myself.
So we went out, whatever, and quickly kind of started dating, right? So 2 weeks into the relationship, like, anyone who knows me, when I first started losing the weight, like 2016, 2017, those were like my two first, that was the beginning. Like, I was really into it. I spent a lot of time in the gym. Never had a girl tell me like it was an issue that I stayed at the gym, because Tonio and Rob had that gym before Tonio had the other one, before we had the one we have now. So end of the day, I come over one night and she's like,
and you have a goal, like you're trying to actively lose a decent amount of weight.
Meanwhile, she wasted her time losing that weight. As soon as she got with me, she got comfortable. That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying nothing. My thighs got a little bit,
And I've been there.
So no, I'm just saying, which I like that. Like,
yeah.
I don't need no bony chick now.
Right.
That I don't need bones rubbing up against me. Okay, I don't got time for all that. But like, we had, she started working out, and one night I come over and she's like, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, oh shit.
We need to talk.
Right? And she goes, I feel some kind of way that you've been coming to my house around 8:30 and 9 o'clock every night. And I'm like, I'm driving from South Tampa from the gym. Like, my condo is a couple doors from the
And
gym.
she's
basically.
in Riverview?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm driving 40 minutes every night.
Right. Yeah.
And
Shit.
she's like, you know, and for lack of better words, she basically just said she didn't care that I was grinding it out in the gym. Okay? Keep in mind, as you'll hear later on, this is the same lady when we got a house together. She decided to take Khloe Kardashian's method with the jars and having all the cookies lined around it, and was putting that kind of stuff in my face. Like, I would come home from the gym and she'd be like, "Here's a dozen of cupcakes."
You're like, I can't have
Like,
cupcakes.
totally against what I was doing. Like,
Yeah.
I hadn't eaten ice cream in a year and a half before I started dating her. Like, our second day, she's like, "Oh, I want to go to said, place, to get it. That's my favorite place to get ice cream." And I'm like, oh shit. And then that became a regular thing. Next thing you know, back in 2018, you got Rocky gaining 80 pounds back.
Oh no.
All from too many Oreo cookies, too many trips to Bo's ice cream, too many trips to Twisty Treat, too many trips to Menchie's. And then I was eating, again, a big boy thing of ice cream every couple days, running through that. She was just feeding that. As soon as I would go healthy again, she'd be like, you want to get skinny. No, I just want to be healthy.
Also a control thing.
Very much so. So she tells me that, and she's like, it doesn't make a girl want to, by then I'm wound down and tired. And I'm like, dude, it's 9 o'clock. Like, she's like, yeah, but I usually go to bed at 10:30. Like, okay, then.
Like an hour and a half.
You should have said that on Match.
Yeah.
Okay, like, stop. Mind you, this person's about 7 years older than me, roughly.
Okay.
6 years, 7.
So mid-40s?
Yeah, she's 6 years. She's 47
Okay.
right now. I'm 41.
Okay.
So keep in mind the age difference. It's not a huge difference because I got friends that are 47 and they run circles around people my age, our age, So she just wasn't like that. Well, so at that time I had just been losing the weight, and I admit I was I was feeling myself. I was like, damn, like, I got the courage to talk to any chick now. Now, everybody who knows me knows I'll try you now. When I was chubby, like, I'll try, but I won't, I won't be persistent. Now I've been a little bit more comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah, you're getting more confidence and
Yeah.
feeling good. Yeah.
So, mind you, the chick right before her, which we joke about, me and Tonio do a lot. Like, he was like, yeah, she was perfect. She just didn't ever pay for anything like this. He was like, she never even bought you a drink, bought us a drink, nothing, which was funny. It was like 8 weeks of,
You constantly.
me, my friends, whatever. And then, so I'm like, okay, at least this chick will, probably turn out to be normal, which she was. I think she's probably in the past bought some boyfriends. I always used to tell her, like, you can't buy me. That ain't gonna work,
Okay.
baby. Like, I came to the table with a $60,000 Lexus already, two other whips. Like,
you're like, I'm good.
I'm good. So, long story short, I started dating this person, and they were already looking for a house. I obviously do the real estate thing. So they kind of started talking about buying a house for real, and I'm like, whatever. I already owned a house and a condo, stuff like that. So it's like, whatever. Again, red flags, y'all.
So
count the amount of red flags that I've
How
been.
long were you dating when
I don't even
she
wanna
was
tell you.
like, let's buy a house?
I'm embarrassed to tell you.
I want to know. Tell me.
It was the end of. It probably was. Okay, so we were seeing each other. So from the week after Halloween of that year, so November, the first week of November, and closed on the house in June of the following year. So like
6-7 months.
something like that.
Okay. All right. That's fast. That's
Right.
fast.
So
That's
like,
fast.
but I pretty much hadn't been staying at home anyway.
Yeah, you guys
I
have
was
been
staying
living.
every night. Yeah.
I know people that have moved in quicker than that and are still married, so I don't think it's necessarily.
It wasn't that.
There's
but-
the other things too, the controlling nature. I don't want you to lose weight because I probably don't want you to look good and be confident because that's a controlling, manipulative tactic. Like, yeah.
You keep going. You're headed in the right direction. See, like, And you know, right? They say hindsight's 2020. So
It is.
you got to remember, even though I was in transformation, I still had the 450-pound Rocky brain.
Yeah.
Like when I hit the mirror, I'm like, okay, yeah, she does look good. So you know, I should be going through this. And I'm thinking like, you know, this is years later now, obviously, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm at a point in my age, I don't really care about so much. I mean, looks matter to an extent,
Yeah.
but it's not like, I don't need the hottest chick on the block. Trust me. I mean, she was single when I met her for a reason. You know, I always say, I'm like, this chick's good looking. She got her shit together.
Yeah, she was an attractive girl when I
Yeah, definitely.
saw the video of her at your house.
Yeah, she pulled up on me, y'all. That's gonna be part of this. So
All right, so bought a house in June. So now we're living together.
we're living under the same
full
roof,
time.
like, right? So she would like make these lists of like things to do around the house. And mind you, she works from home. I'm working outside the home. Like my routine is I go to work, then I go to the gym, then I come home. So as time would go on, it'd be, you know, like I said, cupcakes when I get home, cookies. But she was never, you know, like for me, a woman that works out is a major part of my journey now in life. Like I want that in a wife, you know.
You want somebody who's,
So that, you know, you don't have to do my crazy ass shit, right? Like most people look at what I do on my stories and they're like, I don't want to come visit you for boot camp.
Right.
Which I get that, right? But at least do something. So
yeah, you want somebody who's at least physically
she's
active.
constantly against that. The one time she did come to work out with Tony and I, she like basically collapsed, like her legs gave out. She was a little old, you know, yeah. So the cougar collapsed, right?
Oh my God. The cougar collapsed.
So, you know, I quickly found out when under the same roof that she was insane, like super OCD, never wrong, doesn't want to communicate effectively. If you kind of show her some things that are wrong with her, she sits there and says, well, that, you know, that's your opinion type of deal. I mean, this said person, like, right? And I thought about you when I was just kind of thinking of, obviously this is all freestyle content, but just running some ideas. And you said when I was leaving the other day, you're like, yeah, you know, one of my friends told me I should date black dudes. I was like, girl, I'm gonna arrange that. I got a couple homies, you know that I got this, right? So for any woman, and I say this for any woman, no matter what, if you're dating outside your race, you gotta be open-minded. You know, this girl is a Karen, okay, but she wants to date black guys, right? So, like what I thought about is, hey, listen, if you do go that route, then I'll take you under my wing, so you're not like her. After your man's just trying to put you on game, so to speak, because I mean, there's people that have problems with it on both sides. So you got to be ready for the challenge from the white people, the challenge from the black folks. The sister,
like on biracial couples?
Yeah, definitely. So she, you know, one time said to me, you know, Rocky, this isn't time for another Black history lesson.
Well, didn't you say something to her like, hey, wasn't she giving you a hard time? And you're like, look, I go out every day as a black male and the world's already against me, basically, right? Because that's true.
That's facts.
Right? And what you said, like, you won't know. And that's when she said it's not time for another
so
Black history lesson.
Basically, every night there was just nitpicking. And there would be some issues that were so minute that I just wanted to resolve them. Because if she's also a person that doesn't like resolving things. Unless I sit there and say, you're right.
Okay.
You know, there's no agree and a disagree, you know, like how most adults do. Like, what's the point if we're both the same? Like, she has that mentality. She wants you, she tries to convert people.
Okay.
And I can tell that's why she's, you know, single.
Yeah.
So, as time went on, obviously that, I'm not gonna lie, I've had my struggles with mental health. I still have them. My struggles with anxiety. And I think that's something we don't really address in the Black community enough. In any community, but I can speak specifically for us, like, especially losing a cousin this past summer who, you know, he didn't kill himself or anything, but he got in a car accident, but he died with a lot of shit on his chest. So even more so now, that's important for me, not only to have a partner, but I can't be on any type of platforms that are like, oh, you can't be too black. There's no such thing, right? So she got to this whole thing where she would say, oh, I don't feel comfortable when Tonio's around because you guys start talking your lingo and I have no clue what's going on, but his wife knows what's going on. Or the same thing for
Not your fucking problem.
Or the same thing with my brother who graduated with you, Jason Griffin. Like,
Oh, yeah.
she would be like, oh, and Jace is like fucking proper. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, Jace? You don't understand Jace? So it was always that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know, we have to be around black folks sometime too. Not just your Karen ass family. Mine is her sister who's cool as shit. One of her sisters, right? So as time went on, I would tell her like, yo, like some nights this stuff can wait. Like, I do property management, I do real estate. Back then I was running 2 crazy properties, getting cussed the fuck out every day. Like, so, I would tell her like, some nights I don't want to be on trial, I just want somebody to tell me it's all right. Like,
yeah, right.
Women who think that the tough guy mentality is, oh, this guy never, man, the tougher we are, the softer we are when we get home. We just want somebody to lay our head on it and tell us it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And all my boys can echo that, and all real men listening to this can as well. But so as time went on, that kind of tears you down. Like I told you one time, I told her, you would never understand what it's like to be a black man. And what was her reply? What did I tell you she said?
You'll never know what it's like to be a white woman, and it's much harder. Something like that?
Yeah, along those lines. She basically said what Megan just said. She's like, you'll never understand what it's like to be a white woman and, how hard it is for me. And I'm like, bitch, you make $150,000 a year with your fucking eyes closed. My black felon ass fucking, I have had to hustle in my industry to get to where I'm at, and I'm still hustling every day. So like, no, I don't want sympathy. Like, no, right? Like anybody with common sense, but she's not empathetic. I'm looking for empathy, not sympathy. And she just...
Does she realize if she were to marry and have a child with a black man, she's going to have to worry.
That kid is going to be a fucking Blaren, a black Karen. That's what that kid will be.
But my black friends are like, you'll never know what it's like to send your son out and not know if he's going to come home because he could get shot and he gets pulled over. You got to tell him, make sure you're respectful. Don't give him any reason to fuck with you.
It's 100% though. And so that's why I say...
She has a mixed baby that looks black. They're going to suffer the same...
Imagine. And she did, there was talk of kids at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a little older. I ain't want to have no,
Oh my God, get out of it.
No, I'm just saying, I didn't want to have a hip-hop crazy, like, jumping up and down off the walls kid. Like, she was too old and whatever, so...
Yeah, she was, I mean, it's possible. I mean, Janet Jackson had a baby at 50, but Janet Jackson. No,
but so I was just trying to say, hey, if you're going to date a black man, or if you have to be more open-minded, and I always got shot down for having those type of ideas. And at one point, when I was really struggling mental health-wise, I was an idiot. I was like, maybe one day if something happens to me, or maybe if I just blow my fucking brains out, like this person will actually be empathetic, or
and that's such a crazy
right. So obviously,
and I want to say I've been there too. There are moments where I've been so upset or sad that somebody was treating me a certain way. I was like, you know what? I wonder if something happened to me, if they would even give a fuck.
And that's the mindset I think that a lot of people end up having at some point, whether they admit it or not.
I don't think a lot of people admit that.
Yeah, we just don't give a shit, know. But like I don't give a shit.
Yeah, right.
Like me, I'm straight up about my mental health. Like it's amazing that she's literally, the only woman that can say that I probably pushed myself that far. Like I was dead serious. Like at one point, because I'm just getting beat up every fucking day on every corner.
Yeah.
So as time went on, she ended up talking to my brother, Jason, being like, I think it's time. Because he kind of made it up, that I just need to leave because the conversations were just, somewhat admitting to her faults, but then being like, yeah, but, I don't really care type of shit. And he was like, I don't want you.
You can't admit your faults and be like, yeah, but. There's no yeah, but.
With her, it was always but, or it would be blamed on me, or she would say, if I defended myself, she'd be like, you're digging yourself a hole. And I'm like, who the fuck? Like, my mom don't even tell me I dig holes. Like, are you crazy?
You're like, who? Okay,
Mm.
so super combative, never...
Can't deal with a strong male. That was obvious.
Okay, so she wanted somebody she could control and like a do-boy.
Yeah, like
Get
strong
what I
women.
say.
Strong women I love, but this wasn't strength. This just
No, I think that's actually insecurity.
yeah. She's even more so because then she would say sometimes, "Oh, sometimes you're too strong," and I'm like, "Wait, you're the same person who won't even admit that you're wrong."
Right.
Like she'll literally like I should have known the red flags in the beginning. She would always be like, "Oh, you want to bet?" Like I never lose a bet, and I'm never wrong. And I was like,
Yeah.
red flag.
Yeah,
like
red
I ignored
flag.
a bunch of red flags, especially like when it came to my health and like my aunt died, and I was like getting a tattoo of my aunt, right? And she, her crazy ass, what's up, buddy? Her crazy ass was like, looked up the location of where I was, and said to me that there was a girl that I used to date. She's like, she's you're with her, because the lady next door was a doctor whose first name was Carissa. I used to date a girl named Carissa.
Oh my
And
God.
like, but this girl wasn't a doctor. She's a fucking school teacher.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Are you fucking kidding right now?
So you were together 4 years?
On and off.
Okay, so there
Like
was
so
breaks in
realistically living in the same house 2 years, right?
Okay.
The rest of the time was just the nonsense back and forth. And it was mostly, I think, in her favor in the sense of she just wanted that idea that she still had some kind of hold over me, because she thought she did anyway. So she finds out that I buy a new house and all this stuff. And she's like, you can't do that. You know, our crimes aren't the same when I was dating someone else. And, you know, all these different things. Like, I shouldn't be dating someone else. And she's
You were
not dating
separated.
anyone. Yeah. And she, again, we're talking about a person that I ignored red flags that turned straight narcissist. Like, yeah, like dead serious. She told me that like our crimes aren't the same. I only went out on a date with a guy.
But you're not together at this
No.
point. So it doesn't matter what either one of you do.
This has been for the last 2 years. This has been.
Okay.
Like you saw all the Facebook, you know, whatever with the one girl, right?
Yeah.
She found out about all that and decided she needed to have a sit down about it.
Oh, a sit down. Okay.
Yeah, so that girl did contact her, and it was because there was like a whole thing where she had reached out to me, which she does every Christmas. Like, hey, you want to bake cookies? Like, ask Ashley. Ashley does the impersonation the best, but that's kind of like how she would. Like, right around the holidays, I don't know if it's because she, God bless her dad, and I hated that for her, even though she's a rude person. Like, both of her parents, she doesn't have them, so I don't know if it was around the holidays. She remembered like things, when things were somewhat decent the first 2 years, right?
Or narcissists usually use the holidays to reach out to people because it's a segue.
I was leading them down a path, and you caught me up. So thank you. So right, that's what it is. It's like, hey, during the holidays, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I've never once, fell into that because I felt bad. I remember during COVID, my buddy was fixing her piece of shit Range Rover don't buy those fucking cars, by the way.
I looked into buying one before I got my
They're
car,
terrible.
and I read the reviews.
And it wasn't like it was an old bucket, it was a halfway decent Range Rover Sport, right?
No, I read that they're awful.
They're awful. So it was always at my boy's shop. So my boy was working on it, and it was around COVID, and I had gone over there, and I said, Tonio had asked me to get some things from Costco. So I stopped by over there. She didn't have her car. So I just ran to Costco. I'm like, I'll be nice. I'll go get her some things so she don't have to worry about walking around the store, like, especially over there eating all that shit, by herself, all that comfort food. So
all them cookies.
I was trying to keep her off them thighs, I was trying to help her out, right? So I get back with this stuff, and she goes off on me. She's like, you were trying to hold me at home. You were trying to make sure I didn't go anywhere. So
you were just trying to be nice?
And I was just trying to be nice. She's like, I don't give a fuck, but, went off. And then when I addressed it, like, months later, she was like, I'd do the same thing if you did it right now. I was like, this chick is banana.
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
So, so finally, after all the back and forth, I had told her, like, because again, like, I knew this holiday was going to be the same thing. I mean, I'm going to tell you what happened. Christmas when I was dating old girl,
Mm-hmm.
right? We go to Ducky's one Sunday. Me and old girl,
The girl that you're dating at that current time.
Yeah, right. Not her.
Yeah.
So she and I go to Ducky's to watch the game, and we come home, and she had gone through my phone, and old girl had texted me, "Do you want to bake cookies?" So old girl comes out the room, throws the phone. Ronda Rousey me, okay?
Oh shit.
Yeah, right. Okay, I could have, did
Thinking
something.
that you're talking to your
Yes.
ex behind. Oh
Yes,
no.
so meanwhile, look what happened on Saturday, right? Right? So that's just another spin on a crazy girl story. Like, yeah, so crazy ex is texting me about baking the cookies, and the new girl sees it and goes ape shit Ronda Rousey on me, right? So
I mean, it's tough. I would probably ask. So it would be like, hey.
Well, most people would
why is
ask,
your
not
ex-
just go for the Ronda Rousey,
Right.
fucking sucker punch, a couple kicks in the balls,
Yeah.
know. So fast forward, so this year I wanted to nip that in the butt. So I kind of played the role and then flaked on her, like, oh yeah, we're gonna go watch some, Christmas lights, and then I ended up just telling her, basically how it was, because mentally I can't afford to go back down that road, right?
No.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll never go back to a dark time like that, and I'm definitely not being nice to people who aren't nice to me anymore.
Right.
So I just told her how it was, and I said a bunch of rude shit, like, right? I mean, it's not right, but it's right. Like,
We're human, like that. People have reactions.
Yeah,
and when you've been berated by somebody for a long period of time, it's almost, and that's what's funny too. I don't know if this ever happened, but like, it happened to me. Like, they would antagonize you so much that when they got a reaction, you're crazy. Why are you so upset?
That's exactly what she would
You
do.
just
And
made me fucking upset.
I would tell her, you're triggering me,
Yeah, and you're on purpose.
My life coach always talks about, like, don't let people take your power and the universe and things like that.
Yeah.
And I would literally tell her, I would have to leave the house from talking to her. Even when I was with her, my buddy Jordan brought this up recently. He's like, I remember, not the Charger I have now, my silver one, the old one. He's like, I remember you driving all times of the night, because I would be so fucking livid that I would just get in my Charger and just drive.
Yeah.
Like that, my old one, shout out to Josh who brought it. Like, them are all angry miles.
Yeah.
I was, just driving.
Yeah.
And driving. So like,
it's not healthy.
Yeah, so I finally let her know, and even though I wouldn't want someone to talk to my sister like that, so I'm not proud of it. But if my sister treated someone the way she did, and I'm not playing like some perfect victim. You've never once heard me say, "Hey, I'm the victim." I'm just letting you know, be mindful, even as a man, of signs, right? No matter how good she looked, bro, sometimes it could cost you your own peace, because since I cut her off and told her I didn't want anything to do with her, I started getting text messages roughly about a month or so ago stating that the things that I left at the house almost 3 years ago, she suddenly wants them removed. So I send it to you.
I saw them. Yes,
I sent it to my
messages.
Aunt Ursula.
Yeah.
I sent it to Ashley, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're all, each one of y'all were like, she's not reaching out about this stuff.
Right. Well, like you said, so she shows up to your house unannounced. Like last weekend?
Yeah, so I didn't, when the first message, I ignored it. That was January.
Yeah.
Then the last one was last Wednesday. Friday, she tried to FaceTime me in the morning, turned around, emailed me with the screenshots of the messages I didn't answer. Saturday, I'm pulling up to the gym. I get a phone call. Are you looking at the cameras at the house? No. What are you talking about? I go on my cameras, and sure enough, she buys a white Tahoe, just like the one I got too, right? See a white Tahoe pull in, and here she is with my truck blocked in, but I'm out in the Charger. But she's thinking I'm at home. Hair curled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hair curled.
She looked decent. I saw the video. I saw
Hair
the video
curled.
too.
Beating on my door and hitting my Nest doorbell. Staying outside for 5 minutes. I then reach out and I say, why, don't ever show up at my house. I've never showed up at your house unannounced. And let me read this shit verbatim, guys. That's how we gonna do this.
That's the thing too, though. So if it really was about the stuff,
If it
she
was,
would have brought it with her.
so from a woman's perspective, while I look for this, run me down where if you're looking to give a guy his stuff back. First of all, if I just cussed you the fuck out, are you gonna return my stuff or are you gonna burn that shit?
Burn it or donate it. I threw my ex's shit out. He got one chance and he never responded to me, and I took that as he didn't care about his. It wasn't a lot. It was just like some clothes and stuff, but I threw it in the trash. So.
For real?
Yeah, it's just some shirts.
Well, you know
He
what?
ghosted me. Fuck his shit.
So that's my thing. So here we go. So on January 31st, hey, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to reach out to make a plan for getting your belongings back to you. Let me know what you were thinking. Thanks.
And
Take
you haven't
care.
lived there in 2 years.
I haven't lived there since September of 2019, so we're going on 3 years.
Okay, so now it's time to get your stuff back, okay?
Just now.
Just now.
Meanwhile, I never said I wasn't still talking to her, wasn't dating her, but I was talking to her. And then in December, I say, no more of this.
Yeah.
And now suddenly the urgency. Because you got to remember, folks, she reaches out, with a cookie thing every Christmas.
Yeah.
And this year she didn't hear from me on Christmas, Valentine's Day, whatever, anything.
Yeah.
So right after Gasparilla, she sends that message. Then last Wednesday it says, Rocky, I reached out a few weeks ago to discuss a
No,
plan.
it's Rocky, comma.
Rocky,
which means
look,
Rocky.
punctuation, you know what I'm saying?
That's how I read it in my mind when I first saw it.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of aggressive. So
Yeah.
I reached out a few weeks ago to discuss a plan to return your belongings to you, but I haven't heard back. Would you let me know how we can work together to return your things? Saturday morning, I'm at the gym reading, and that was Wednesday. I hadn't responded. Mind you, Friday morning, 8:58 a.m., I get a FaceTime from her. Don't pick up. She immediately emails me. So Saturday, she's at my house. I'm at my gym training, and I'm looking at my cameras like, y'all don't know how I felt, man. That was such a violation.
Yeah, no, for
So-
sure. Yeah.
So I said to her, I don't show up to your house unannounced. Please don't come to mine. We both know why I haven't responded. Please do not come by my house again. Thanks. She said, not sure why it's a problem that I showed up at your door. You may know why you haven't responded. I don't. I have tried to make arrangements with you to return your stuff back to you. So let me know how we can work together to do that. If you would rather I'll bring it to Goodwill, I can do that. If I don't hear back, I'll drop what I can on your doorstep. Thanks.
Could have brought it to your doorstep when
do
she
you
showed up.
guys see, though, like, I've been really breaking this down. So she says here first about the Goodwill, right?
Yeah.
Then she immediately goes, again, if I don't hear back, I'll drop what I can on your doorstep. I thought you just said in this sentence before Goodwill.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
the narcissistic
Yeah.
traits? So then I say again.
Word salad, circular conversations.
So
yeah.
me, this is when I turn petty. I said again, I don't bother you and your men and don't show up at your house. Never have, never will. Grow up. You know that's not ever okay to show up at anyone's house, especially not mine. You know why I haven't responded, and I won't waste much time with these responses anymore because you don't deserve my energy. You sucked the life out of me for far too long. Hence what happened on December 18th, which was the day I cussed her ass the fuck out. You're not going to upset or trigger me. You don't have that power, which I gave a little power by even giving any attention to this. But I have to keep my mental in check. So she goes, I don't know the reason for your lack of response. This has nothing to do with relationships. I just want to return your things, so please let me know. So then I get a little bit more petty, but I'm going to tell y'all the truth here, and this is how it's going to go. So I say, one, I'm not going back and forth with you, definitely. You definitely know why I haven't responded. We both do, and most people with a brain. I never mention relationships. I said, I'm at the St. Pete Grand Prix all weekend and don't have time to worry or wrap my head around you suddenly wanting my stuff gone to either sell your house or because your men don't want it there. I wasn't born yesterday. I said, I'll get back to you next weekend. And then I went back, I said, actually next week. And she's like, thank you. So sick ass bitch, you want the stuff gone this bad.
Yeah. See,
So-
I would have been like, I'm taking your stuff to Goodwill. Bye. Like,
So-
this wouldn't have even gone that long.
So,
The
You know,
conversation.
It's very scary that someone would show up at my house. Like
No,
that's
crazy
I would
to
never
hear.
show up to anyone's house unannounced. I
No.
just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, let alone my ex.
Yeah.
Like I still, when I left there, I still had garage clicker, key, this, that. Hell, she's still using my Nest doorbell. Like,
Yeah.
so, and me, if I want to get the stuff back, I'm gonna be petty. Let me get my washer and dryer. Let me get my Nest doorbell. Let me get every door contact.
Right.
Let me get every shoe I bought you. You know, like, if I'm gonna be petty, I'm gonna be petty. But the thing is, I don't want that stuff. I have. It's a couple TVs there. I have enough TVs to fucking stack a bar. Okay, I'm good on that shit. But at the end of the day, it's my fault partially because I ignored all these signs that have brought me here years later.
All right, so we'll wrap it up with advice to men. There might be men going through this right now. I think women talk a lot about being manipulated and stuff, and I know it happens to men because I've seen men go through it. Women can also be very manipulative and controlling. So what advice would you give guys to wrap up the episode?
Listen, brothers, if she doesn't want, if she is against you being an alpha male, and I don't mean you control anything, but wants you to be less of a man than you are, that's a huge red flag. You know, if you are, don't matter what color you are, but especially if you're a brother dating outside your race and you see any kind of red flags of, you know, pertaining to that kind of stuff, you know, Karen qualities are easy to spot. So definitely run for the hills. Never trust a big butt and a smile, definitely. The blonde hair, blue eye thing is, you know,
Also a red flag.
trouble. And other than that, just if somebody's not down for you, there's no reason for you to be fucking with that person. I mean, I joke a lot. Definitely, I'm always going to joke on here and especially throughout the episode. But the truth is I ignore red flags, you know, for looks and silly shit like that. So I don't care what she looked like. It's about how she treats you. And, you know, ultimately, don't settle for less, fellas.
Yeah. Well, like you said, she was not supportive of your goals.
Not at all.
Huge red flag, like for any relationship, right? You're trying to lose weight and she's trying to sabotage you. That's
Every
a
time.
problem. And then she wasn't able to communicate properly. You weren't able to work through issues. She couldn't accept responsibility for being wrong. You know what I mean? These are all like mature, adult, emotionally, you know, healthy things that people should have. A lot of people don't, though, men and women. So, yeah. And I think I always say men love crazy women.
I mean, we do to an
And this is why I'm
extent.
still single.
See, listen though, you're crazy to an extent. You're redhead, get real, girl. Like you ain't got some feist up in you.
Oh, I'm
And that's the
feisty.
thing. She comes off all sweet and shit, but like,
Oh, see, I come off a little harsher.
yeah. See, that's the thing.
But I'm really sweet.
She comes off all sweet, but she'll
Yeah.
show up to the front door like knocking with authority. Boom, boom, boom. Like, like I had shit of hers at my house.
Give it to Goodwill. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, go ahead, because you're crazy. Because the biggest part of it is I'm not going over there to get my shit. I'm just going to tell her I am. Because we know if I go over there, Lorena Bobbitt, I'm telling you.
All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story because I think it is good to get the male perspective. So thank you for being open and honest.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, girl. I'll be back very soon, y'all.
Yes,
Don't worry
you
about
will. So thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. It helps our channel grow. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, thank you so much. And we will see you next time, guys. Bye.
it. Bye.